The United States Supreme Court just allowed President Trump to ban transgender people in the military because they're trans. Come at me all you want. That's why this is happening. You know, I guess my question is, anyone from this administration, far-right conservatives, what's all this hate? What's all this hatred and disdain for trans people? Like what have they done to you? Seriously, what have they done to you? When all they want from you is to exist, and all of these attacks on their rights, all of this limitations trying to own the transgender community, own the liberals. You know, I'm really tired of this, and I'm making this video because I'm not a transgender, but I can't help but to feel sorry for all these people that are about to lose their jobs, lose their careers in the military because you don't like them. So I'm going to be reading an article from the Supreme Court of the United States blog, and this was an emergency docket as of May 6, 2025, but I'm just kind of now getting a chance to make a video about this because I just, saw this and it blew my mind. And I'm making this on May 25th, 2025. I know there's always been a hatred, for this small group of people that you really have a problem with for some reason, but now it's kind of gone a little bit too far because you are kicking them out of their jobs basically because you don't like them, and then their lives are about to dramatically change because of what just happened. So I'm going to be reading this and commenting appropriately. Let's go and get into it. I'm not going to try to drag this video out too long because my last video was really long. So yeah. Okay, and I'll put, just so you know what I'm reading, I'll put pictures of screenshots of the blog that I'm reading so you can kind of follow along with me. I'm going to start reading off this chaos. Let's get into it. The Supreme Court on Tuesday afternoon, so this was on May 6, 2025, that Tuesday, cleared the way for the Trump administration to enforce a Department of Defense policy prohibiting transgender people from serving in the U.S. military. So there it was. It's saying cleared the way, so that's basically saying kind of without restraints, kind of just getting it in. Preparing this Department of Defense policy that's prohibiting the transgender people from serving in the U.S. military in progress to get passed. With the court's three Democratic appointees indicating that they would have denied the Trump's administration's request, the justices paused an order by a federal judge in Washington state that had barred the government from implementing the policy anywhere in the United States. In Washington state, they had trying to make effort to make sure this doesn't go through, but it's getting there. But going forward, we have, shortly after taking office in 2021, then President Joe Biden signed an executive order that allowed transgender troops to serve openly in the military. And then on January 20th of this year, President Donald Trump revoked Biden's order and issued another order requiring Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, I always have a problem saying his name, to put into effect a ban on individuals with gender dysphoria or dissatisfaction, the medical term for the psychological distress caused by a conflict between the sex someone is assigned at birth and that person's gender identity. Real quick, I want to say, this isn't a healthy environment for trans people, with the Biden administration, for the Trump administration in 2016, this kind of similar thing was happening where he was trying to ban, all these trans participation in activities. I can't remember if he went as far as to the military, but he did do participation in sports and stuff like that. And then the Biden administration in 2021 and then revoked that order, basically saying that it's okay for trans people to be in the military. it's okay, like, come on in, you're welcome, you can, open up, you can, you can be open with what you identify as in the military. And then the Trump administration coming in 2024 and then revoking that order, and now it's just like back and forth, and it's like unhealthy for any trans person, like, to come back, be open about it, to take those rights right back, and then back again. Like, this is just like an unhealthy, environment for any person in general, but especially trans people, because now they don't know, like, if they're gonna, be accepted again or not. On February 26th, the Department of Defense issued that ban, which generally disqualifies anyone who either has gender dysphoria or has undergone medical interventions to treat gender dysphoria from serving in the military. So anyone that has had, like, thoughts of, maybe I'm not this gender, or anyone that has had medical interventions to treat that gender dysphoria, basically saying you can no longer serve in the military. I know this has never happened in history before, but basically I have a problem with it, so you're not going to be able to serve in the military anymore, you're not going to be able to serve this country. I'm going to think of you as so less, like, of me, that that you can't serve in this position. I also want to quickly point out, like, I'm going to use an example, like, of a job, like, say you have two employees, right? You have a cisgender employee that has had no medical intervention or medical operation done on, their assigned sex at birth. Then you have a transgender person who either is unhappy with their assigned sex or had a medical operation done. And this may trigger some people, but I honestly don't care. That transgender person is not 10% less, 10% worse at their job than the cisgender person. Like, they're two people. Like, I know this sounds like common sense, but this administration can't get it through their head. It's frankly stupid that one person would automatically seem it's better than the other person because they kept their assigned sex versus the other person that had an operation done. That has nothing to do with their work ethic. That has nothing to do with anything about them, and it shouldn't even be considered as, like, in the equation. Like, when hiring someone versus someone else, they're like, if you like this employee more than the other person, like, this is common sense, but it's just like this administration cannot, like, grasp that concept for some reason. I don't know. It's as competent as the transgender person is just as competent and could be even more competent than the cisgender employee. There, I said it. We have the department explain that the medical, surgical, and mental health constraints on individuals who have a current diagnosis or history of or exhibit symptoms with gender dysphoria are incompatible with the high mental and physical standards necessary for military service. Like, truly think about that for a second. So, I guess sure that they're on medication, they might be on testosterone or estrogen, for example, but, like, that doesn't really have any constraints. Okay, they have surgery, there's a recovery period, they'll be as good as normal, like, in, however much long it takes to recover, but, and then mental health constraints, that, I guess that one might be true, mental health constraints. That depends on the individual, really. But to say that they're incompatible with the high mental and physical standards necessary for military service because they're trans? Like, are you serious right now? Like, you're knocking out a whole group of people because maybe one person, exhibited that mental stress or, whatever. Like, that is stupidity. 7 current transgender members of the armed forces along with one transgender person who would like to join the military and a nonprofit with members who either are transgender troops or would like to be, went to federal court to challenge the new policy. This goes back to my point in the intro, where there's been transgender members of the military and the armed forces for history, and just now in this administration, we're gonna get rid of it. Like this, anyone that voted for this administration, I hope you're happy right now. For all these people that are about to lose their careers and their jobs, and how you're gonna dramatically change their lives. I hope you're happy right now, because they're not. Those people are not, that are about to lose their careers. Sorry, I'm not gonna, again, drag the video out too long. Let's get back to the article. The lead plaintiff in the case, Commander Emily Schilling, has been a naval aviator for nearly 2 decades, and she estimates that the Navy has spent $20 million on her training. So she has been this aviator for 2 decades, 20 years, and the Navy has spent $20 million on her training. That's good. The U.S. District Judge Benjamin Settle agreed with the plaintiffs that the ban violated, among other things, the Constitution, the Constitution's guarantee of equal protection. Yeah, this is unconstitutional. You are going, guarantee of equal protection. Yeah, you're going against the Constitution. You're not equally protecting the trans people with the cisgender people. You're not doing that. You're welcoming the cisgender people in and kicking the transgender people out. No, this needs to stop. He called the policy a de facto blanket ban on transgender services, and that's true. After the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit rejected the government's request to the freeze settles order, while the government's appeal went forward, the Trump administration came to the Supreme Court on April 24th, 2025. Uh-oh, what's about to happen? What's about to happen, people? What's about to happen? Without the Supreme Court's intervention, the Trump administration told the justices the district court's order will stay in place where litigation continues in the Ninth Circuit and, if necessary, the Supreme Court. That is, the Trump administration said, a period for too long for the military to be forced to maintain a policy that it has determined and its professional judgment to be contrary to military readiness and the nation's interests. So basically, what Trump's trying to say is that the previous policy that Biden brought back, which Biden revoked and brought back the welcoming of the transgender people, and the Biden administration brought back like the revoking and welcoming back of the transgender community in the military. He's saying, what Trump is basically saying is a period for too long in the military, the transgender people are allowed in, and now he wants to take them out. The challengers countered that if the Supreme Court were to pause Settle's order, it would, allowing the government to begin discharging thousands of transgender service members, including them, thereby ending distinguished careers and gouging holes in military units. And that's true too. You're basically saying all these friends that the transgender people have made in the military community, all of the careers that have been built by transgender people in the military, proceeds to court. Get out of here. I don't care. Get out of here. How inhumane does that sound? How inhumane does that sound to straight up end a career and say get out because transgender. It's the reality, and I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. Let's keep on going. In a brief unsigned order issued on Tuesday afternoon, the court granted the Trump administration's request to pause Settle's order while the government's appeal proceeds in the Ninth Circuit, and if necessary, the Supreme Court. As is often the case for emergency appeals, the court did not provide any explanation for its decision. The court's 3 Democratic appointees, Justices Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson, indicated that they would have denied the government's request, but they too did not explain their reasoning, so they would have straight up denied this request. And that's the end of the article. I'm very scared right now, and I feel empathy for the transgender community, and I'm just very sorry that so many careers are about to be lost, how their families are going to be impacted, and what the future holds for this minority group of people, because the administration is making it very evident that they don't give a flying heck about you. They don't care about you. They don't care about you. They don't even care about the supporters. And if this is not a sign, I don't know what is. They want your vote. They simply want your vote, and they want to get out. They want you to get the heck out. But yeah, I'm just really afraid. I thought I would make this quick video, but be sure to leave that like button, subscribe if you're new, if you liked it. We're trying to get to 6,000 subscribers. I hope we can do it. Until next time, I'll see you guys. Bye.